Hey everyone, welcome to this webinar on maximizing your personal productivity with ClickUp 3.0. My name is Elliot. I'm a member of the Solutions org here at ClickUp, and there are a couple of things I wanted to go through before we kick off the presentation. So first of all, we are here answering questions in the Q&A. Feel free to ask your questions in the Q&A box. We've also got a live chat going, so if you want to talk to other members of the audience or react with an emoji to something that you like or love, please feel free to do so in the chat. And finally, we are going to be sticking around an extra 5 minutes after the presentation to answer any additional questions that come through. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my screen to talk through what we plan to cover today. So as mentioned, we are going to be talking about maximizing your personal productivity with ClickUp 3.0. And the topics we're going to be covering are how to get the most out of updated home, how to organize your inbox, and AI best practices.
Okay, let's start with home. I'll be totally honest. I wasn't the biggest advocate for Home 1.0, but much like the newly updated inbox, Home 2.0 marks a really incredible upgrade that has me actually loving home. And I think the biggest reason is that I've now got a way to center myself on the platform. And what I mean by that is, regardless of whether you're new to ClickUp or joining a well-established team, you'll very quickly get pulled into work across your organization. And these work threads can feel overwhelming, especially as the tasks you may be working on or connected to will be in different locations across the platform. But with home, you've always got a button you can press to recenter yourself and see the exact window of work that you need to see. And because of its customizability, you can create a space that's familiar and relevant specifically for you. And this is also why I love that home starts out as a blank canvas. It's the only place in ClickUp where when you click on it for the first time, it actually gives you a moment where you can reframe and be totally in control, even if you've got a super busy workspace and hierarchy. Oh, and that's one final point, because I've got the home button to center on, I can collapse the hierarchy now in confidence, which also streamlines my experience even further and simplifies the screen for me even more. So clicking into home, you can see that home now has a plethora of cards. You can choose to add or hide, and you also have the ability to move and resize them. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go into every single card in home. It's definitely something you'll need to explore on your own, but I can show you the cards I found to be really useful and some tips for using them. So my favorite cards, we're going to be going through the personal list and lineup, and then I'm going to take you through my work, assigned to me, reminders, and assigned comments. So starting with personal list. Personal list solves the problem of not having a private space within the platform. Everything on your personal list will be private unless you share it. And it's your place to keep your own private to-do items or items that you want to get done. This also should help in resolving the issue of if you are an administrator or if you're expanding the platform out to other team members, a lot of the time, one of the first things people will do is create a space for themselves and name it after themselves. And yes, you can hide that space to keep the hierarchy less cluttered, but you have to do some education there. In this way, it can now be understood, we don't necessarily need spaces for everybody. You can just use this personal list as your place for your own personal work. Now I'm going to go ahead and add lineup. Lineup hasn't changed from Home 1.0 very much. It's basically the same it's always been. Lineup is great for prioritizing everything that you've got going on. This is especially useful as you sort through some of the cards that I'll speak to next, and you do have the ability to add things from other places to lineup. So here's my pro tip for lineup and personal list. These are the two cards that I keep at the top of home most often. Lineup is open. Just be aware that other team members can actually both see and add tasks to your lineup. You also have that ability, so you can add tasks to other people's lineup. Your personal list is private. Anything added to that list will remain private unless you choose to share it. And the drag and drop function from one list to another, you might notice that that's currently missing. I do believe that's going to be added in an upcoming update. Now let's take a look at my work, assigned to me, and assigned comments. So my work is the center of home. It lets you see your tasks and reminders together in one place. My work only includes tasks and reminders that are assigned to you or teams that you belong to. The Assigned to Me card is a comprehensive list view to show you all of the tasks that have been assigned to you. The nice thing about Assigned to Me is that you actually have the ability to group and filter the Assigned to Me list. So one thing I'm going to call out here, you probably won't use these cards simultaneously. You'll probably want to pick one or the other. I personally like Assigned to Me because I have the ability in Assigned to Me to change things like grouping and filtering, which I find to be really useful. And the other great thing is, if I'm using Assigned to Me, I don't get access to my reminders. I think that previously reminders were pretty tough to work with. And so this is where we've got a real bonus with the newly updated home, is that we've actually got a card specifically for reminders. So this is making reminders so much more useful because they're front and center. As a reminder, you just need to use the R button. If you're using hotkeys in ClickUp, you just click R. It's going to pull up the reminder dialog to add reminders for yourself. Now I feel like I have access to my reminders. It's much easier for me to manage them because they've got their own place where I can actually see them and work through them. So for me, again, across my work and Assigned to Me, I really just use Assigned to Me. And then I like separating out my reminders because it just makes it easier for me to manage. The next card I wanted to call out here is Assigned Comments. This one is also really useful. In your inbox, you're going to have all of the updates that you're a part of. So whether you're assigned a task or tagged in a task or tagged in a comment, or there's a comment on a task that you're assigned to, all of those updates are going to filter into your inbox. With Assigned Comments, now you have a card that separates out those assigned comments specifically, so you can jump right into them and action on them. Okay, and then one last card. So I know I've gone through a lot of cards here. One last card that I just want to call out is Recents. And I'll keep it right at the bottom of home. Recents is going to show you anything that you were recently engaged with. This is also super helpful because, again, as you get pulled across all those different threads of work, across all those different teams, working out of different locations, like different spaces and lists that might be buried somewhere in the hierarchy, you now have a place to reference all of the most recent work that you've been engaging with. So this actually also coincides with the first thing I said, in that now I really just use the home button as that place to recenter myself. When I get lost, or when I close out a task or I close out a doc and I'm not sure, where exactly I am in the hierarchy, I just go ahead and click home. I can quickly from there see either the work that I've got prioritized in my lineup and jump right back into that work, or I can head down to the bottom of home and take a look at my recent work, and that's going to help me just, okay, that's what I was working on. I can jump back to that if I need to. So again, home overall, I would say it's a huge improvement over what we had previously, and there's a ton here that really will help you to enhance your navigation of the platform and your overall experience of the platform and your productivity. So next, I want to talk about our newly updated inbox and notifications. If you have any questions still about home, feel free to drop those questions in the Q&A. We are here answering questions, and we will be answering questions at the end of the session as well. So let's take a look at inbox. if you aren't using Inbox, I highly, highly recommend making it a part of your daily routine. The way you should think about Inbox is that this is the centralized location where all of your work is going to funnel into. So regardless of where you're being tagged or mentioned or assigned to tasks, all of those threads of work that are taking place across the entire platform are all going to feed into this one central location where you can then manage the updates and actions that you need to take. A couple new features I'm really excited about are the ability to do things like snooze and mark messages as unread so you can better manage them within your inbox. But what I really want to focus on is a best practice that you can incorporate into your inbox today to really take advantage of it. This best practice is for you to actually go into your individual inbox settings and turn off all of your email notifications. This might sound scary at first. It might sound like something that you're not necessarily ready to do, but I promise you the payoff here is worth the effort. And you really get two big benefits from this. So first, it's going to allow you to separate your work between internal and external stakeholders. Save your email for external stakeholders. This keeps your email inbox clean, keeps it uncluttered, it helps you with focus, and then use ClickUp for your internal stakeholders. The more your team uses the platform, the more value you're going to get from the platform. So again, keep your email for external stakeholders. So all external messages can go through email. And then anything that's internal to your team, keep those messages inside of ClickUp because you're going to get that added benefit of actually having context around your communications, the context being the tasks that you're communicating within. The second benefit that you'll get here is if you have your email notifications turned off, this is actually going to force you into using the platform, which again, the more you use the platform, the more value you'll actually get from it. Okay, if anybody has any additional questions about Inbox, feel free to type those in the Q&A. But next, I want to talk a little bit about AI. I actually watched a great webinar the other day about predictions for 2024. And one of my favorite takeaways was that AI is not coming for your job, but the people who can successfully leverage AI will be coming for your job. And I thought that that was such a great take on last year's explosion of AI products and hype. At ClickUp, we're really pushed to incorporate AI into our work, and the team is constantly looking at ways that we can expand our AI offerings and how we use AI internally. And it's been amazing to be a part of this and to see some of the advances that the team have made and to be able to see what's coming as well. In this section, I'm going to focus on a couple of ways that we're using AI to significantly enhance productivity. So I'm going to start with writing with AI. At this point, you should all be familiar with the ability to use AI for writing. My one tip here is to make sure you're taking advantage of using AI for writing the things that are going to bring you the most value. And I've got two things that I really want to bring up here. So if you ever feel like you don't have the time or bandwidth to add descriptions to your tasks, you should be leveraging AI to add descriptions to your tasks. This also goes for SOPs. SOPs are one of those things where I see people put them off all the time. It never is something that anybody really wants to focus on. By using AI to write your SOPs, it's going to drastically reduce the amount of time that it takes to do those SOPs. And it's also going to drastically reduce the amount of pain that you go through in writing them. Once you've got your task descriptions and your SOPs updated and relevant in ClickUp, then you've got a third AI feature, which is really going to superpower you and your whole team. So this final AI feature is Ask AI. Ask AI is something that you can find within search. If you hit Command K and then hit /, type the word ask, it'll pop up. Ask AI is a total game changer when it comes to your personal productivity. As long as you and your team are being thorough with things like your SOPs and task descriptions, like I just mentioned, you can use Ask AI to treat ClickUp like a company-wide intranet. So that means you no longer need to post in Slack or track down a team member that has the specific information you need. You simply need to ask AI the question that you have, whether it's about your product, your team, a sales process. Ask AI is going to go scour the workplace for that answer and then bring it back to you. And even better, it's going to show you where the answer came from. So you can then check that specific document or that SOP or that task to make sure you have the most up-to-date and relevant information. Again, this is something that will seriously superpower your productivity. And it's one of those things where it's an added benefit to the AI product within ClickUp that really multiplies the effectiveness of the platform as your team continues to use it. All right, so that's everything I really wanted to cover today. As a reminder, we talked through updates to new home and some of the key cards that are now available. We discussed the inbox and some tips for staying on top of notifications and communication. And we covered AI for task descriptions, SOPs, and my favorite new feature, Ask AI, which converts ClickUp into a company-wide intranet. Thanks for joining. Also, as a reminder, the session was recorded. We will be sending you a recording of the session in a follow-up email. Also, I'm going to stick around with the team for an extra 5 minutes or so to answer any additional questions you have. So feel free to drop those questions in the Q&A in the chat. We really appreciate you taking the time today, and I hope you found this information useful. Thanks again.